PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, voice of new media. I'm host Ian Rachiele, and on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2024-2025 season involving your Vegas Golden Knights, we're going to be talking about the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Edmonton Oilers out there in Edmonton. And this was an interesting game, some back and forth stuff that happened, and a spoiled return on the home team's end. But we're going to be talking about all of that here on this episode of PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media, and Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Now, getting into this matchup, Vegas Golden Knights, Edmonton Oilers. This is an Edmonton Oilers team that made it to the Stanley Cup final this past season. Vegas Golden Knights, we've had a good rivalry between these two teams in terms of divisional rivalry the past few seasons. And, when you really study what the Edmonton Oilers have done, they started out on a cold streak to begin the year, and it has not been great for them. But you have to remember what happened the year prior when they went to the Stanley Cup. The first half of the year was not as fantastic for Edmonton, but they got it done in the second half. And on the other side, doing a 180, your Vegas Golden Knights have had a really stellar start so far in the first 12 games of the year. So it's really pretty much a tale of two sides here when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights and Edmonton Oilers. Now, on the pre-game side of it, there is one roster move we do have to acknowledge, and it is on the defensive side of things. As Nicholas Hague has a injury, he will be a day-to-day situation, and Nicholas Hague will not be on the third defensive pairing for this matchup. Now, Hague and Whitecloud, they have kind of been the duo the past couple of games for Vegas Golden Knights, but he suffered an injury in the game previous to this one. So for Nicholas Hague, he is not going to be in the starting lineup, and he is listed as day-to-day. And when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, because of the amount of defensemen that we have in the system, Ben Hutton, Caden Korczak, those are two defensemen who have been healthy scratches for the beginning of this season. We saw Caden Korczak pop his head in and come back into the lineup when Shea Theodore had his illness against LA a while back. So Nicholas Hague, he is out, and then Ben Hutton is in. So, we haven't seen much action from Ben Hutton this season, but in the previous season, he has been the super replacement. All right, he has been the seventh defenseman for your Vegas Golden Knights. So anytime there's been an injury or anytime there needs to be a substitution and someone has to be a scratch and someone needs to come into the lineup, Ben Hutton has been that guy. And he's reliable. And that's really the word you have to use with Ben Hutton. He's reliable. He's consistent. You're going to get X amount of minutes from him. You're going to get X amount of shifts from Ben Hutton. That's just what the reality is. And when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, having someone who's a veteran seventh defenseman who knows his role and does it very well, that is Ben Hutton. So he is in the starting lineup. And we're going to go over all of that in just a little bit here on this show. Now, getting into the starting lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights, we're going to start out with the forwards, as it is going to be on line one, Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. So this first line been super effective and has been the best line all season long with your Vegas Golden Knights. You're seeing the connection with Jack Eichel and with Ivan Barbashev. And then you have your captain, Mark Stone, who has been averaging over a point per game this season. And then on line two, you have Brett Howden, who's had a fantastic start to the season. Then you have Pavel Dorofeev on the right, who has been just scoring goals left and right. And then Tomas Hertl, who has been really effective on the power play in the center. And then on forward line three, you have Tanner Pearson, William Karlsson, and Alexander Holtz. So really no big shock from the most recent couple of games, but you're seeing the fact that, Carlson, Pearson, and Holt kind of be on that third line. And then over on the fourth line, and this has kind of been the status quo for the last couple of games, Cole Schwindt, Keegan Kolazar, and Nicholas Waugh. So Waugh and Kolazar, they've been together forever. And then Cole Schwindt, after being acquired on waivers at the beginning of the season, he is on your fourth line, the rookie they have from the Calgary Flames. And, this forward line for Vegas doesn't get enough credit. Regardless of if it's a second line, third line, fourth line, it doesn't matter what line it is. Everyone except the first line doesn't seem like they get enough credit or enough respect from anybody that is outside of the Vegas realm. So, forward lines are doing exceptionally well for your Vegas Golden Knights organization. And then moving over to the defensive pairings, and there is really no big shock on pairing 1 or pairing 2, as you have Noah Hanifin and Alex Pietrangelo, and then Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb. And then on the third defensive pairing, you have Ben Hutton, who's coming in for Nicholas Hague, who is day-to-day, and Zach Whitecloud teaming up with Hutton. So, no big shocker here. And, kind of the main reason why is because, ever since like the first 5 or 6 games of the year where they did their major shakeup on the defensive pairings, it has been remotely the same pairings ever since those first couple of games where they did that swap. Hanifin and Pietrangelo are your 2 best defensemen. That's supposed to be what it is. Theodore and McNabb, they have the chemistry, been together for a while now. And then Ben Hutton coming in with Zach Whitecloud, and they have experience over the last couple of seasons as a defensive pairing. And then in net for your Vegas Golden Knights, Adin Hill in net. So Adin Hill, he has had an interesting first month of the season. He has had some highs, he has had some lows, but in this game, you do have to acknowledge and give credit. He did a really good job with the Vegas Golden Knights organization. And we'll cover all of that in this episode. But with Adin Hill being in net for Vegas and Edmonton versus Vegas, and then Stuart Skinner would be the starting goaltender on the opposite side for the home team out there in Edmonton. So for Adin Hill, I really like what we're going to see in this game. He made some really solid saves, and he was very crucial in the third and final period against the Edmonton Oilers. And we're going to cover everything that happened in this game during this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. So getting into the first period out here in Edmonton, there was some good shot opportunities by the Vegas Golden Knights. And despite the only penalty in the first period being a Tanner Pearson high sticking penalty that the Vegas Golden Knights did kill off, so the penalty kill was 1-for-1 at the end of the first period, there would be a goal scored towards the end of the first, and it was a fantastic job by Jack Eichel. So Jack Eichel puts the puck in the back of the net, first goal of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights, and it really sets the tone when it comes to Vegas. I mean, you had Ivan Barbashev with a good assist there, Shea Theodore, nice time, passing the puck around, getting it to the right person. And when it comes to Jack Eichel, this is someone who is putting up a momentum in terms of right now in the NHL. So Jack Eichel, he scored the first goal of the game against Edmonton. And overall, when it comes to that first line, you're seeing the Barbashev to Eichel connection, and it has been gelling so well in the first dozen games of the 24-25 season. And overall, when it comes to Jack Eichel, we saw it towards the second half of the season last year, but we're seeing it in overdrive in the first half of this season. When Barbashev needs to find somebody to score the goal, he connects to Eichel, and vice versa. When Eichel, he has the puck on his stick and he needs to go find somebody, he'll go to Barbashev. So for Jack Eichel, I really appreciate what he has done. Yeah, only 4 goals on the season, but he has accumulated so many assists on the season. And with Ivan Barbashev, 6 assists on the year, but he already has so many goals already at this point in the season. So, yeah, first goal of the game at the end of the first period would be 1-0 Vegas over Edmonton thanks to Jack Eichel. So after a 1-0 lead for your Vegas Golden Knights after the first period, the second period would unfortunately be a down for your Vegas Golden Knights. As you start out the second period, there was a good amount of opportunities for the Vegas Golden Knights. Alexander Holt was trying to score a goal. You have to give him credit there. He had not only did he have 5 shots in this game, but there was an opportunity. He was to the left side, Stuart Skinner. He tried to get it past him, but it just ricocheted off of Skinner's pad and just did not go in the net. But towards the middle of the second period, Brett Kulak, the defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers, he gets it past Adin Hill, and he would score the first goal of the game for the hometown crowd out there in Edmonton. It would make it a 1-1 game for them. So unfortunately for Vegas, that would be a situation where it just unfortunately tied the game up in the middle of the first. And after a missed penalty opportunity by the Vegas Golden Knights, where unfortunately Jack Eichel, there was a penalty that should have been called on Connor Brown, but it was not called. However, in about a few minutes left in the second period, the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play as there would be a slashing penalty on Edmonton. Someone would go to the penalty box, and they would have a 2-minute penalty. And the Vegas Golden Knights just did not capitalize on this. There was a Tomas Hertl play. It was in the slot, and it just went too high and just went over the net and just did not connect. So 0 for 1 on the power play for the Vegas Golden Knights, 1 for 1 on the penalty kill at this point in the game. And then, unfortunately, with a few minutes left in the second period, being tied at 1, the Vegas Golden Knights would give up the second goal of the game to Edmonton as Zach Hyman, a very dependable score for Edmonton over the last couple of years, gets it past Adin Hill. It was a good shot on his end, and would make it a 2-1 game for them. So just unfortunately for Vegas, that's just the reality that they ended up losing, in the second period by giving up those 2 goals and not capitalizing on the power play opportunity. So, that's a bit of a downer for Vegas. But overall, heading into the third period, we will see how Vegas would, regroup and try to adjust from what they saw in the second period. And that is exactly what they did with the Vegas Golden Knights after the second period. Now, getting into the third period for your Vegas Golden Knights, and the first couple of minutes, there was some good back and forth, some line changes. There was some rushes on the offensive end, the defensive end, but there would be an opportunity that would strike for the Vegas Golden Knights as Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would get a holding penalty against Shea Theodore. So RNH would go 2 minutes into the penalty box for the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Vegas Golden Knights, they would get on the board. They would tie this up at 2, and it would be the first goal of 2 in this game for defenseman Noah Hanifin. As Noah Hanifin gets it past Stuart Skinner, and I do want to acknowledge this, by the way, it is now a 5-game point streak for number 71, William Karlsson. So after missing the first few games of the season with an injury, not being on the opening day roster, William Karlsson has come back from injury, and he has made it his mission to have a great start to the year, and he has successfully done that. So yeah, congratulations to William Karlsson on the 5-game point streak, as he had an assist, a very important assist on this goal from Noah Hanifin. And then Jack Eichel with his 14th assist of the season, he was credited as well. So, Jack Eichel, 18 points already in the first 13 games, which is just remarkable to think about. But William Karlsson on a 5-game point streak. And then after that power play goal, the Vegas Golden Knights, it would be a few minutes later, but who would show up again for the Vegas Golden Knights? Who would capitalize and bring the home fans upset and start heading for the exit in Edmonton? Well, it wouldn't be Jack Eichel. It wouldn't be Ivan Barbashev. And it wouldn't even be Mark Stone yet. As for the second time in this game, Noah Hanifin, with 45 seconds left, Thanks to Ivan Barbashev and Alexander Holtz with the assist. Hanifin past Stuart Skinner. It would be a 3-2 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. It would be 4-2 at the end, but we'll talk about that in a second. But Noah Hanifin gets the game-winning goal after getting the game-tying goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. So for a defenseman to have a 2-goal night is very impressive for Noah Hanifin. And overall, I mean, when you're really studying what Noah Hanifin has done this year, he has had his cold streaks and his hot streaks, but this was one of the best games we have seen from Noah Hanifin as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. And with about 10 seconds left in the third period, there would be an empty net. Stuart Skinner would skate over to the bench, and you would have the first line. They would pass the puck around like hot potato. Jack Eichel over to Ivan Barbashev, over to Mark Stone. Mark Stone would get past Connor McDavid. He would shoot it into the empty net, and your captain, Mark Stone, would bring home Golden Knights fans happy and Edmonton fans going for the turnstiles, as it would be a 4-2 victory for your Vegas Golden Knights. And, Mark Stone's 6th goal of the season. And, really got to give credit to not just Jack Eichel for his 15th assist of the season, 2nd assist of the night. But there was something interesting that did happen here, and we are going to be mentioning it in the last few minutes of the show. Yes, Connor McDavid, who was hurt for the beginning part of the season, he did, in fact, make his return to the lineup against Edmonton. And even though he was not on the stat sheet, he did play some meaningful minutes against the Vegas Golden Knights on this game tonight. And anytime you get to beat the best hockey player in the world in Connor McDavid, it's good for Vegas. Now, I did mention that Mark Stone had an interesting development at the end of the game. Now, this is not verified. This is not confirmed, but it's speculation. On that empty net goal, when Mark Stone is skating past Connor McDavid, it seems like Connor McDavid's stick hits Mark Stone. It could have been, in the groin area, could have been his ankle, could have been his knee, could have been, his lower body, whatever it was. But when Connor McDavid looks like he hit Mark Stone with his stick, if you watch the replay back, Mark Stone has this wincing look on his face. It looks like he's in pain when he's celebrating with his teammates. So this could be a development. And trust me, we do Vegas Hockey Hub recap for every single game. So in the next game, we'll find out if there's anything serious or not that comes from this. But watching the replay back, it does seem like some form of contact was made between Connor McDavid and Mark Stone on that final play during the empty netter. And once again, got to acknowledge the 2-goal night for Noah Hanifin. Nice performance by him. And what a good outing by Adin Hill. I actually am going to acknowledge, trust me, I'm one of the harshest critics when it comes to goaltenders, right? When they mess up, I call them out for it. But when it comes to Adin Hill in this game tonight, looking at the box score for Adin Hill, I mean, he had 27 saves on the night, and he made some very impressive saves during this game and in this outing against Edmonton. So Adin Hill, very good outing for him. And as the Vegas Golden Knights would pick up the victory, this is the win-loss record for them at this moment in time. It's also the same Vegas Golden Knights team that has won 6 of their past 7 games. So they're building momentum in this young part of the season with the Vegas Golden Knights. So, yeah, really solid job. Well done by Vegas. And then, like we do for every single episode, my player of the game with 2 assists, 1 goal, a 3-point outing. I'm going to be giving it to the guy who is exceeding over a point per game at this mark, and that is Jack Eichel. Now, it is way too soon to talk about the Hart Trophy and the MVP chance. We're way too soon for that. However, if he continues the pace he is at now, 19 points in 13 games, you could say that Jack Eichel would be in the conversation for the Hart Trophy later in the year if he keeps up this momentum. And this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, go Knights, go.